Hi, welcome to Grey Horse Yoga. I'm Gina. So I wanted to do a quick little sequence on the mat today to help with core strength. Our core strength is so important when we're riding, but also in our everyday lives. So we're going to do a little bit of core work down on the mat. So we're going to start with a little warm up. I want you to come to table pose. So table pose is just like a square hold. We have our wrists underneath our shoulders and our knees underneath the hips. We have a nice length in the spine. So make sure the head doesn't collapse down. Make sure you're lengthening through the crown of the head and through the tip of the tailbone, just as if you're in a seated posture or in the saddle. So think neutral alignment for the spine. And then as you inhale, send the sit bones back. Let the belly drop down towards the mat. Lift the heart and the sternum. Take the gaze gently up into a nice front extension. And then as you exhale, round the spine, draw the belly in, let the head release down between the arms, coming into a nice front contraction of the body. So keep that going, just moving in and out of this spinal flexion and extension. Make sure that you link the movement with the breath. So inhale as you lengthen the front of the body into your extension, and then exhale into flexion. Good. Do that 2 more times. Inhale and exhale. Inhaling and exhale. And then gently come back to a neutral position. And then we're going to bring our elbows down to the mat. So we want our elbows to be directly underneath our shoulders, forearms parallel with each other, knees still underneath the hips. And then interlace the fingers so that you make a little shape of a 2-sided triangle here with the arms. And then extend the right leg back and the left leg back, coming into an elbow plank pose. So make sure the hips don't sag down here. Think of lifting the lower belly up to meet the spine, so we keep that nice lift in the torso. If you need a little modification, you can always bring your knees down to the mat. Inhale and exhale. This is a great modification for a plank pose, doing it from the elbows if you have issues with your wrist. Inhale and exhale. So we're going to go through a little sequence here. So we're going to take a nice deep inhale. As you exhale, lower your knees down to the floor, uncurl your toes, bring your hips down to the mat. Lift the heart and the sternum, draw the shoulder blades together, coming into a Sphinx pose. And then as you exhale, take your gaze back down towards your hands, feel the lower belly, lift away from the mat, curl the toes under, lift the hips back up to that elbow plank pose. So we're going to do that a couple times. Nice deep inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, release the knees down, uncurl the toes, bring the hips down, widen the collarbones, press into the feet, energy in the legs. And then exhale, gaze back down towards the hands, curl the toes under. Inhale, lift the hips back up to that elbow plank pose. Let's do that a couple more times. Exhale, release the knees, uncurl the toes, bring the hips down. Inhale, widen the collarbones. Press into the feet, come into that Sphinx pose. So as you press the feet down, you feel the kneecaps maybe lift a little away from the mat, energizing the muscles in the legs. And then exhale, take the gaze down towards the mat, feel the lower belly lift, curl the toes under, lift the hips back up. So we'll do that one more time. Take a nice deep inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, release the knees, uncurl the toes, bring the hips down, widen the collarbones, lengthen through the front of the body, lengthen up through the crown of the head. And then exhale, take the gaze down towards the hands without letting the head drop, just a little tuck of the chin, lift the hips up, come back to that elbow plank pose. So modification or advancement here if you like. Nice deep inhale. Exhale, walk your feet over towards the right side of your mat. Make sure your left hip doesn't twist down. Keep the hips level. Inhale and exhale. You can always bring the knees down to the mat if you'd like. Inhale. And exhale, and then walk the feet back to center. Take a breath here. Again, maybe keep the knees lifted. Maybe drop the knees down to the mat. And then walk the feet over towards the left edge of your mat. Again, make sure the hips don't twist. Keep the hips level. Make sure you're breathing. Inhale and exhale, and then walk the feet again back to center. Inhaling and exhaling. Now, bend the knees a little bit. Walk the feet a little closer to you and send your hips up, coming to a dolphin pose with the head released between the ears. Again, you can keep your knees bent here. Inhale and exhale, and then gently release the knees to the floor and curl the toes. Release the hands. Let your hips sink back to your heels. Come to a child pose with the forehead released down to the mat, or stack your hands up, making fists, letting the head rest on the hands. Take a couple breaths. Inhale and exhale. And then bring the hands back to the mat. Inhale, come up to table pose. And let's take a nice deep exhale again. Round the spine into our cat pose. Inhale, lengthen the front of the body, taking the gaze up. Once again, exhale. And inhale. And then this time as you exhale, come back to neutral, back to table pose. Bring the hands in front of the shoulders. We're going to finish with a downward facing dog. Curl the toes under. Lift the knees just 2 inches off the mat. Engage those core muscles. And then keeping the knees bent, send the sit bones up and back. Let the head release between the arms, coming to a bent knee downward facing dog. A nice neutral position for the spine here. Inhale and exhale. Another breath, inhale and exhale. And then gently release the knees to the floor, uncurl the toes. Again, back to your child pose just for a breath. Exhale back. And then just gently slide the hands back towards the knees, just rolling up, either sitting on your heels, or you can set the knees, feet, hips off to the side, come to a cross-legged seated position. And just for a moment, just close the eyes, just notice how you feel. Inhaling and exhaling. Engaging those core muscles with our little series with our Sphinx pose and our elbow plank pose. Very gently let the eyes open. So I hope that helps you a little bit in the saddle to create a little stability around the spine, a little bit better alignment in the saddle in your position, whether you are a dressage rider or a jumper rider or a Western rider. And also too, anything that we do for the alignment of the spine helps us just in our daily lives. The health of your spine is so important, not only when you're riding, but anytime you're doing anything. So thanks for joining me today. Have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you again soon in the saddle or on the mat. Bye-bye.